I don't know what that does. Just go ahead. You come back in.
That's what it is. Yeah. Not that much. I got to be, I can't do that. I'm gonna pull one of these and then Joe gets half and then everybody gets half. Thank you very much.
Probably have another big shout.
See, that was easy to do.
Okay, Rick, we're ready? Everybody else out there? Okay. We're gonna, recording.
Yeah.
It's recording?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order. It's 7 o'clock. First things first, we'll do attendance, and we got the Zoom people on. We got two.
No, just one.
One, okay, let's do Jason first. Jason, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I just got to get up and turn the radio down. The
Okay.
Susquehanna weekly net just started.
Okay, well, we got you on. Thank you for joining. And as usual, we'll just go right down the tables here.
KB2 AVB Indica.
Joe, by the way, his name is Joe.
Noah KE2CAV.
I'm Ed, NE2W, Vera Secretary, I live in Binghamton.
Rick Shepherd, KE2CAV, and
Steve KE2YRA, probably my twin KE1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everyone does that. KE2YRA Johnson City.
Ford AV2HS.
Oh, KE2 today. Where's that got? Diane for Crane, KE2BON.
John WM2R, Fort Frank.
Steve KU20, West Corners.
Bob N2EVI.
Al WA3PWX.
And 2GSS George from Binghamton.
Rick NN2K.
Joe WB2SGW. I've had a new title. I'm the Supreme Commander of Finance.
When I set the chairs up, I wanted to make sure Joe sat there because he has all of his stuff to lay out there. So that's his unofficial title. And
KD2TAR.
and N2ENG. I'm sorry, Gary Moen.
AV2GD.
Most important guy to me tonight, Gary, because he, thank you, Gary, right off the bat. Gary as a go-to IT person on the board, and he always steps up when we need him. Drew's on vacation, so we have just a basic meeting tonight. Secretary report, the Bear facts up to date. I checked it out. Looks very good, by the way. Thank you, Ed, for doing that because you do a really good job on it. Any questions? Everybody get a chance to look at the bearer packs? If not, I implore you to do so. All the scheduling's on it.
I just wanted to add a couple, if somebody wants to write an article for that, put in there, go ahead. Or if you have an event, date, time, where it is, what it is, and I'll put it in. I try to get everything, but if you have something you want me to add, just shoot me an email with the detail.
Yeah, you'd think I would know by now, but what's the cutoff? When does it come out? When do you need something by?
It kind of varies.
Oh,
I mean,
When you get it, you'll try to get it on. That's the best answer,
yeah,
right?
the next month, the next month, like if the beginning of the month has activities like the one month did, I'm gonna put it out early in the month to cover the events.
okay.
But if the month, there's nothing going on till the week of the meeting, I'll put it out the weekend of before the meeting.
Yeah. So the sooner the better. Sooner you get it, the better.
Yeah, and if
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again, Ed. Like I said, you did a really good job on that. Treasury report, Joe, do you want us to come back? Cause I know you got. Okay.
I got it somewhere here. Hang on.
We, on field day, what Joe's trying to file through here is I think on field day, we had, I think, 2 or 3 people join. So,
oh, yeah.
So we have $6,051.83. I've gotten 3 more membership things. Right now, we're at 61. So if we approve these 3 tonight, we'll be at 64.
okay,
And finances, we have $250 out in outstanding checks that haven't been cashed. We have $500 check from
a little more than 500 should be,
Yeah.
right? From Doug's.
yes,
Yep.
for Doug's Fish Fry.
Yep.
So we're over 6,000.
Okay, good. Thank you, Joe, for your work. It's a lot of work keeping track of that. And if any of us do have expenses, please make sure Joe gets them timely. Yeah, I was just gonna say, can we vote those people in now since we're on the topic? They've all paid, correct?
Yes.
So do you wanna just do them all 3 at once or you?
Yeah. Let's do them.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm gonna make you walk.
Yes, you did.
Okay, we got Michael Moran, from Candor. Jim Crisanti, from Binghamton. Jim is KV2NSM, Nora Sam Michael. And then we have Alan Secord, WA3PWX from Candor. So we got 2 from Candor, 2 bringing in, all 3 have paid. Can I have a motion to accept all 3? Ford makes a motion and Greg seconded. Thank you, Joe.
You got a vote?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just so used to if they pay, they're in. I'm sorry. Everybody, can we rewind that back? Everybody in favor of those 3? Okay, they're in. Congratulations. If anybody's here, I don't know if they are, but congratulations. Okay. Right on to old business. Field day summary, Steve, you got the information on that, or do you mind to come back to?
Yeah, no, it's just an update. The deadline for those who have, I should say it, or I understand. I'm sorry. For anyone who's participated in field day on their own, you can add your score, or aggregate your score to the Barra score, and that helps. So there are 5 folks who 2 of them I sent emails back, but Steve, Brian, John, Greg, and Bob, I'll send out tonight, the details. But anyone else who did field day on their own, you can add your score to the Barra, the legal add your score. We did really well. We did 954 points, 12 as a club, 1,240 bonus. I could read my writing, 302 QSOs over the weekend, which was great, considering a lot of that time was overnight. Great teamwork, great participation, a lot of sharing, a lot of learning, a lot of pizza, and a lot of things that we learned for next year. So thanks everyone who participated, and look forward to more participation, more people joining in the future. I couldn't say. five.
And Steve, a special thanks to Steve. He took it upon himself to help chair the activity committee. And he took the bull by the horns for the field day, did a lot of the tabulations and such. So thank you, Steve.
I was coerced, but you're welcome.
Yeah, we're still grateful. Pause on everything else. Bob?
We had a gentleman who passed his technician earlier and has left, but we have a new ham right here.
Awesome. Welcome to the club. Excellent.
You gotta tell us how old he is.
I think you're 18.
10? All right. Well, good job. Good job. Excellent. And congratulations. Well, good job, guys. And I'm sure he's already told you, but we have meetings here the third Wednesday of every month. And you do not have to be a member to attend, and you're always welcome to join. So, but congratulations on passing.
And don't forget to hike next month.
Oh, and next month's meeting is our annual picnic. So you're all welcome back. Yes, it's gonna be here in August, the third Wednesday of the month. We're always, yep, so you're always welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And by the way, I got here at like 5:15 and they were waiting at the door. So that's awesome. Field day, one thing I wanted to add is we had really good turnout. We had like 23, 25 people here on Sunday. And I think we were like pushing 18 to some on Sunday. So, I mean, we had a really good turnout. So thank you to everybody. Our next POTA, that's a question for Steve because we're thinking about doing, mixing it up, making maybe like an impromptu POTA. It doesn't always have to be a very big deal. It could be like Steve has mentioned, some people are thinking about going down the Hickories, or like one time Ford and his son went down and, Greg might have went to join him or something like that. But we are still planning on after, it's Labor Day, right? Labor Day is the end of summer. It's after Labor Day, still doing our annual Shenango Valley State Park. We always had a big turnout there, but like Steve, you can take it from here about doing other.
Well, actually, it should be John and Diane who, also.
Oh, that's right. You guys are doing the POTA. I'm sorry.
They're
You
actually
feel
the
that. I'm
lead.
sorry.
Just a reminder, this weekend is, Support Your Parks weekend. So 4 times a year, POTA does a thing, you can hunt or activate, and it's another chance to get on the air and have some fun. So, do like mini events. It could just be, I'm kind of last minute, so sometimes I'll just get up and say, okay, I'm going to a park. And Hickory's a great place, all along the Susquehannock and public area is great. So, let's get out there. It's hot and rainy.
and not human.
And there's bugs and snakes and really high winds.
But we are
Other than
thinking
that.
about doing that. And John and Diana, thanks. They've, the activity committee, they've kind of, stepped up. So yeah, we'll help try to organize some POTAs. No pressure, whatever. The Copernic summer camps, is coming up July 29th that week. We've always had some club members step up just to help do some basic antenna stuff and some soldering maybe. It's always appreciated. If you can, please get with Drew. He's on vacation, like we said, and let him know if you can come up and help support. They do their little Yagi antenna thing. They need help building that, and they do basic soldering. And our club has always, I think, always stepped up to help because, like I say, we try to help Copernic because Copernic helps us out so much, that kind of deal. The Doug's Fish Fry check, it has arrived. It was over 500 because for the second time we broke $5,000, and that is not common. As 3 is the threshold, but 4 is a big hit and 5. So thank you to everybody because I know club participation is what helps gets us there. It's not just the people coming off the street. And September is around the corner. I think it's the 3rd Thursday in September we do it twice a year. So in a couple months, we got another Doug's Fish Fry coming up. New business. This week, we have been talking as a board about helping get some more storage because we are at, critical mass in the shack. I mean, like literally, it was like literally storage, our whole shack. Thank you to Ford. I saw some racks on sale, but Ford looked around. We got 2 racks. They're in the green building, plenty of room out there. We haven't put stuff on it yet, but that's just going to help with the storage. We might get a 3rd rack. We get approval for in the shack if there's room. but we've got to get better storage, so we, Ford and I put the racks together, who helped out, and that was just the other day, this week. We do need, Ford has the, or does Joe have the receipts?
Yeah, Joe got the receipt.
Joe's got the receipts. There is discretionary approved spending for board members. We don't do it a lot. Sometimes you get something, we approve, whatever. But they were on sale and Ford got a good deal. It was actually cheaper where he got an Ocean State job lots. And thank you, Ford. He went to 3 different places. He got us the best deal. So I would like to see if, someone wants to make a motion to approve the purchase of the 2 racks.
Make a motion.
Okay, Greg, oh, I actually, do you want to wrap in there in a possible pre-approval of another rack or just use that for your expenditures as a board member?
No, we could, yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah, if you want to make it to approve the buying the 2 and possibly a third in the future.
Possibly a third. yeah.
Okay, so that's the motion. Second on the motion, Steve, any questions on the
Yeah,
motion?
I just want to mention that, the racks were $74.99 each.
Right.
Plus, $12 in tax.
So technically, you know, we could say one board member did this and we would rather give meeting
If we
member
go- if we
approval.
go for the 6-tier job.
They'll be
I think-
99 or
I
something.
think that was $89.
Right, so
But,
we have approval to buy these 2.
Yeah.
And possibly a third if we need, if it'll fit.
89 plus tax.
Okay.
I have a question.
You have a question?
If we wanted to get more space, in general, like for the future, how about using shipping containers?
Well, actually, Rick and I did talk about that. We talked about that as something in the future. We gotta get prices and look at it. Rick and I literally today talked about that.
Oh,
You know, there are 2 white shipping containers out here. They're Copernicus. It's just something in the future. We're not bringing it up tonight for approval because we don't have any figures. We don't have any approval from Copernicus to even put them on site. But for the immediate problem solving, if we get 3 racks, it'll really help out a lot. And then a lot of the stuff that's in there is gonna go for our auction, which is
what
like
kind of racks?
just nice metal they look like metal baker's racks. There's
Standard mesh.
yeah, your standard mesh
Standard wire
wire.
racks.
Yep, they're good wire racks.
Metro carts.
So anyways, we have to vote on that. All in favor? Okay, thank you. The next thing for new business, we talked, this was brought up, not really the board, which brought up the field day and the board, whatever. We have two of our club radios are on the older side. The 920 is really nice. It's that great big one we bring out here. We only use it for like indoors here at events, and it's that nice, beautiful big one in the box, the cardboard box. We use it, but we don't use it a lot because we don't want to take it out. It's pretty big. And then the TS430 is the oldest radio we have. It works, but it's older. Several of us talked on field day and we talked about on the board, possibly getting approval from the membership and to sell those 2 older radios and use the money that we get from the 2 maybe to buy one more modern one and then maybe get approval to buy another modern one. And we're not talking like $12,000 rigs. We're talking like, what is it, the 710?
710.
Like the 710s, we all talked about the 710s, a really good modern radio. It's a workhorse. But we're usually doing at least one digital station now at almost all our events. And even the 450Ds, we have to have a separate signaling box to get it to work. And like the 430, we don't have the possibility without another signal link. So anyways, it's something we're thinking about, and Ford, you're gonna have to help me out on this. Is this a situation where we were looking for approval to possibly list those today?
Yes, okay. Okay, Rick, do you want to add anything first before I say anything?
Well, the 920, that's over a 20-year-old radio.
Wow.
Probably close to 25 years old. It's big, that covers 160 through 6. But it is very big and it's not conducive to taking it out of the shack portable. So we've got a lot of other smaller rigs that are more useful for that. So, and we also just got donated a really expensive radio with George Allen donated it. Trying to remember the name of the radio.
It's an Icon, what is it?
That's one of the
Was like
one
a,
of the digital ones that's very popular now, and I can't think of it, but it's, anyway, we've got a very new radio that was donated. So we'd like to sell this, I think we're thinking of asking like $550 for it, maybe take it to some ham fest, offer it to the club members for $500. That radio new was over $2,000 back in the day. But,
and they're still pulling 550 to 600 online right now.
but it is old technology.
Yep.
Compared to what they have now.
And you guys have seen it here. It's the big radio we've used. A lot of times we use it here. So anyways, we're looking at getting permission to sell these two radios, get what we can off them. I think personally the 920, if like Rick says, if we wanted to offer it 500 in-house, I think that'd be a great deal for, I'm not selling it, as a salesman, I'm just saying, I think it's a darn good radio for $500, but it's a bigger one, something you'd use for a base station. And if we had more than one member interested, then maybe we could work it out with a drawing on it, whatever, because I don't know. But anyways, I guess first of all, would we have approval from the membership to sell the 920 and the 430 and to use that money towards getting?
What's the story on the 430?
They both function, they both work, they're both donated. The 430 is like a rock solid, but it's older. It's the oldest radio we have. And for when we do digital, you gotta hook something up to it. So we haven't been using it for digital, and we have to use it. It doesn't have its own tuner, if I remember right. It doesn't have a tuner, so we have to have a secondary tuner hooked up to it. So we have to have it either on a resident antenna, or we have to have our tuner on it, and it has a separate power supply. So we use it. It's a rock solid older one, but we would like to get permission to sell these two and then buy at least one or two of the newer radios. The 710s are going for how much roughly, Ford? Roughly,
About 800, right?
about 800. So we might be able to get 800 for these two and then maybe buy another one for 8. And then we have two newer radios and our inventory, like I consider like infrastructure. Now we've got 5 club radios, all newer, all smaller, all capable of doing what we need.
And
So
the
what are you
thing
trying to
about
get for the 430?
what's that?
Rick might know better on that.
What are you trying to get?
I hadn't really thought about that one, but I would say that'd be around, just guessing around 300.
I was thinking about 3 for that and then 5 for the at 920. And if we have in-house people interested in it, we'd have to like people let us know, and then we have to figure out how to do it.
And I just remembered that radio that was donated by George is a Flex.
I was gonna say the Flex
One of the
DMRs.
newest. It's really a nice, expensive radio. Plus he donated, I think an antenna tuner with it and an amplifier.
And that's not something like to replace things too for like when we do our events. That's
No.
just a big asset that was given to us. I mean, a big asset.
And the thinking of one of the reasons, okay, the 920, it's a beautiful base station radio. But like Rick says, it's big. And so not something you're gonna take out on a Boda event. And the 430 is old, that's technology back in the 80s or what have you. They're good, but they're old. And how many of you folks, if you come up here for a field day or what have you, want to use a piece of equipment that's older than what you got at home? It's like going back and driving a car back in the 80s vintage or what have you, versus some of the stuff now. It still works or what have you, but it's old, and they don't have the selectivity, sensitivity to them that a lot of the new rigs have. And like with that 920, it's a good rig, but it's old. And
We're not talking old like tubes or anything like that.
No,
We're talking, it's all
okay.
solid state. It's just not like what we could use. And we did buy a 450D last year, because we, again, needed a smaller, more modern radio. So I guess, if someone wants to make a motion that we sell those two and we have approval to sell those two as we can do, and then put it towards purchasing 2 of the other radios.
Well, we go along with what Ford's saying, somebody just upgrades and get their general.
Yes.
You don't want them to go out and spend $2,000, have to go $2,000 on a brand new radio. when I got mine, somebody gave me their old one. And I used it and learned what 40 meters was in that, and then. So, get these into the hands of somebody that's new that can use them and get used to it. And what Ford's saying carries that point. Have the new radios here at the club. They got the old one at home, they come up to the club and they use the latest one and say, that works, I wanna buy that one. They get a chance to test drive it before they
Plus
throw
they're,
$2,000 away or whatever.
well, they're like $800 radios now, and they're smaller, so we can put them in our cases, we can take them places, and they'll do what we want them to do. We don't have to carry separate tuners and all that stuff. I have a TS 430, they're great solid, rock solid little radios. It's like my backup radio, I love it. But again, anyway, so, is there a motion to, approve the club selling those 2 radios, with the intent to use the money for the sales towards getting 2 of the, 710s forward? 710s?
Yeah, we don't need, as far as, because we're not gonna buy the new rig.
Well, no, but he's got it on there, that my third question is, do we want to buy new rigs? Well, okay, let's just do it this way. Do we have approval to sell the 920 and the 430 towards, getting new radios, period? Do we have, do we want to make a motion? Rick, make a motion? Is there a second to the motion to sell our 2 old radios? Greg?
Yeah.
Any questions? I think we covered it all.
Well, I think just get them out.
Well, right, that's the first motion. Can we have permission to sell them? All in favor? Okay, passed. Then the third question was the new rigs, we had question marks. There were a couple different rigs brought up. A lot of people brought up like the 710s. Just, they're about $800 now, and they're still, there's like one level above them now, and that's why they've come down, but we can get them roughly for about 800. So if you want to table that, then we can do it next month, but it is one of the questions I'm supposed to ask.
Okay, one of the things, 2 ways, with the rig, cause I don't know if everybody's in agreement on a 710 or not. We talked around with a bunch of us at field day, getting the opinions from the people, so this isn't something that just came up out of the blue. But the one thing is, if we get approval for if you folks are in agreement for going with a 710 or something, we got the okay for it, so if we sell these rigs.
Right.
And we see a 710 come up, because sometimes Gigaparts or some of these others, they're having a sale. Labor Day sale or Founder's Day sale or something like that. And you can pick them up. Well, it'd be nice to be able to take advantage of that deal. But if we don't have approval for it, we can't very well go and buy it, or shouldn't go and buy it, and then come back and say, okay, hey, we bought a rig, hey.
So is there a motion on the floor, to replace those radios we sell with 2 of the 710s, for future purchase? And
2 or 1 or 2?
well, one, we use these radios, like this last event we had. We usually try to have, we're set up easy for 5. We have the quad, and then we have the extra cable. So we almost always, for all our events, go 5. And we almost always have 5 rigs set up.
Right.
But at the last event, the 920 was our 5th.
Okay.
So we pulled the great big one out, out of the cardboard box, set it all up. So if we were to sell those 2 for what we want to get off them, there's one 718 right there. I mean, it's like literally, it doesn't cost anything. We should get 800 for those 2, and they're about 800 for 718 or 710. So what we're thinking is, if we sell those 2, we end up with 1 718, we still got 4 club rigs. And so we're still looking for someone like Ford or someone else to bring a rig when we go on with 5. So money out of pocket, if we sell those 2, we have no money out of pocket. We should be able to get 8. Those 2 should just about pay for 710. So that's why I was thinking, if anybody wanted to have the motion made to pick up 2 710s after we sell those 2, then technically we're looking at spending about 800 out of our club funds for infrastructure.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion for that?
Question there first. Do you want to absolutely go with a 710, or do you just want to say we want to spend up to this much money?
We
on a new
talked,
radio?
well, a lot of people talked at field day. It was not a board meeting. I mean, Ford went around and talked to a bunch of people and we had like 20 some people here that Saturday. And we talked about different radios and stuff, and the 710 is, It's just a regular popular radio that does what we want it to do, and they're priced about 800 now. And that's just the one thing we thought of. And we could say, you know, $1,800 up to that, but then we might have to come back and say, what radio you want? So I have no, I don't care what radio we get. I just know the 710 is technically, from what I hear from everybody else, it's a darn good radio, and they're about $800.
Eagle Parts currently has them for $875.
$875. And then Ford says your sales back and forth.
So whatever we get, we'll have digital capability, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I'm just thinking if we could get approval to, you know, like I said, realistically, we should be able to get 800 for those two radios.
Yeah, those you plug the USB cord into them and.
Right.
And even beyond the whole digital aspect, they're just newer radios so any equipment you wanna get for them, additional like filters or, and whatever, you're more likely to find it in stock than some of the older stuff that you can work around or do this, but you could just go and buy the bits for this because it's new.
And I'm not pushing anything. I'm just simply saying is, we got approval to sell those two. Now can we get approval to buy two to replace them? If you wanna say 2 710s, fine. If you wanna say a certain amount, like what roughly 2 710s would cost, and then in the future we decide, that's fine. Whatever you wanna do, or don't do it at all, and we're just gonna be 2 radios down. But we wanna sell those two, well, we can still get like 800 for them.
Personally, I'd say get at least 1 710, because you said it's basically 800.
Well, it's basically a wash, and we got
Yeah,
almost
no,
6,000 in
exactly.
the.
And then we look around for a secondary rig to see if there's, maybe we want
Yeah.
something with a little different feature set than a 710.
We were thinking about trying to keep them the same, cause like we got two 450, we got the 450Ds, and then we got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were thinking about two newer radios that are good price.
Similarity and people able to use
Yeah.
them right away.
So if there's a motion, fine, and if there's no motion, we, like I said, so far we've approved the sale of those two. Does anybody have a motion to, replace those two?
Make a motion to spend up to 1,700, replace the two pending the sale of the first two radios.
Well, when's it tied to the sale of other ones?
Well, I think first, yeah, we were just talking money wise, we should be able to recoup the cost of one radio. You're right, there could be a big sale tomorrow, we might buy those two radios before we sell those. But that's the purpose of getting approval, so if something comes up, we can take advantage of it.
You can drop the pending sale.
Plus, we got case, tax too, so.
Well, I said 1,700, might be more than
Because otherwise we gotta wait till these.
No, I didn't mean, I shouldn't have spoke pending. Just, do we have approval to get two new radios, which will end up replacing those two? And Greg, you made a motion?
1,700. Well, if you want, maybe we go 2,000 with sales tax.
Yeah,
Okay, so we have a motion to spend 2,000 for two new radios that will ultimately end up replacing those.
I'll second it.
And Ford seconded. All in favor? Any objections? And there's no problem if there is an objection. No objections?
So are we eligible
Okay.
for tax-free,
Yes, we are. I think I just thought about that later. We have the 501, matter of fact, because Ford, because Drew had to refile that. That's right.
Okay.
A few years ago, we had a problem. Drew had to refile stuff.
Okay.
So yes, we do have that.
So how do we access that? I was in a store and they said, oh, it's all online.
I do not know. That honestly, that's gonna be something that you have to take up with Drew. I don't know, because Drew handled it with the Char 90
Yeah.
and that paperwork. And there was a few years ago where we had something lapse. And when we took over, we had to like catch up. But, okay, so we got that. So we will be updating our rigs. Rick?
Just a question about the sale of the older rigs. Can, Ed put that in the newsletter?
I mean, we're honest, I mean, like I said, personally, I'm not a salesman, but if any club member says, oh, I'd love that 920 for 500, or I'd love that 430 for 300, that we just told you. What we would do is we'll let it out there that the 500, 300 members.
I'd like to see that put in the newsletter.
Okay, we'll put that in the newsletter. If anyone is interested in either of those two radios, I say get a hold of a board member. Maybe like by the next meeting, if there's like one person who wants one radio, one person wants the other radio, fine, it's sold. If there's 2 or 3 that would like to give 500 for that, well, then maybe we'll just do a quick drawing. I personally would like to see a member take advantage of that radio before we sell it on QTH.
One thing I would suggest, of course, still up to you, but I would say, since we approved this, get that newsletter out, even if it's just a separate mailing, because here's the thing. We've got coming up, the first or second weekend in August is Trumansburg. the Twinsburg Ham Fest. We've missed, two Ham Fest, just last weekend, Wilkes-Barre and Camillus.
Yeah.
And, so,
He could just send out an email for it. He's got the entire
Yeah.
email list.
I hear
yeah,
Yeah.
you.
so,
Trumansburg, I think, is in, but okay.
I think that's what Warren's saying, it's like a membership, so we make another before we get to
because
that.
Rick goes to some of those Ham Fests. I've already talked to Rick on that.
But Ed has the entire membership list, up-to-date emails. He could send an email to every member, like 60 people, and obviously we don't have 60 here. We could say, hey, these are the 2 rigs, this is what we're asking. If you're interested, get a hold of us, and then maybe by the next meeting, whoever replies, like I said, we'll handle it. But I would like to see,
Trumansburg is the 3rd of August.
yeah, so I think
So-
we're gonna have to wait and let I think personally, let members have a chance to get it first, because 1, we don't have to transport it, 2, we don't have to sell it to any stranger, and a member could really take advantage of these radios.
But the thing is, that, you know, it should be before August.
Well,
Because
it's,
if Rick takes it to, Trumansburg, you know,
Well,
and
he'll
he
get
gets
the-
a buyer, you know.
he'll get the email right out.
I'm saying if we do the club respond by July 30th,
Yeah, that's, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now, what are we asking for the 920?
5 and 3. Just 5 and 3.
Can they make an offer?
No, just 5 and 3. I think that's just the way we should do it personally. Well,
On the 430, I would say, you know,
I would,
the 430, I don't know where you're gonna get 300 out of it.
whatever.
say
I
for
just,
both
I
of them,
just
more
looked on
best
eBay
offer.
and they're going between anywhere from 3 and 500.
The 430.
The 430s.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Can I
What about
say,
550, 540 for the 920?
well, I'll put 500 or best offer, 300 or best offer.
No, no,
No.
because we're just saying, look, we know 500 is less than what they're going for. 300 is the lowest of what they're going for. He just gave us a range of what, 3 to what?
3 to 5.
3 to 500 for the 430. So we're asking 3. So
Okay.
we're already asking 200 less than what the highest they're going for right now. So 3 and 5, and coincidentally, it's pretty darn almost exactly the cost of a 710.
Okay,
And I mean, I'm just saying that they're both the low end of what those radios are worth. And if we get a member that can take advantage of it, I think that's awesome.
all right, well, I'll put 920.
Okay,
asking
and if you,
500.
even a separate email, just boom, on the email list, so everybody gets an email. Because if it says bearer fax and someone says, I don't read the bearer fax, they might miss it.
No, okay.
Thank you. All right, moving on, in queue for the next meeting programs. We have, Greg has stepped up to do one tonight for Road Rally Communications. Our picnic is in August. Oh, I forgot to ask, is there any BE here still? Rick, do you know if they're gonna be doing
I think he
testing?
said he was going to skip it next month.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's why I forgot to ask when he's here. I've been trying to do like 10 different things tonight. Okay, so our picnic is next month. We always have a good time. The last 2 years, we've been having it up here at Copernic. Everyone has said it is much better up here than at Otsego. So we're gonna be back up here and Ford, correct me if I'm wrong, with the club supplies, like the hamburgers, the hot dogs, and the drinks. And people can bring like a dish to pass kind of thing, okay?
Yep.
And it's a good time, and that's usually, there's certainly about 50, 60 people here. So I look forward to everybody being here.
And it starts at 6, not at.
Yes, it
7.
starts at 6. It's not, yes, it starts at 6. Just think about it, dinner time. We're here for dinner. Thank you for that. September, our presentation, Nick Gretzinger is supposed to be doing a summit on the air presentation, which sounds pretty interesting. October, we've got ham clock presentation. Drew built a ham clock, and I hear that's pretty cool.
Yes, they are. I used to see one last week and it is impressive, even for me.
The upcoming calendar of events, annual picnic, we already covered that. The Doug's Fish Fry, that's gonna be the 19th. 3rd Thursday of the month, and again, we really need to push that, because we literally, the check we just got from Doug's Fish Fry is over $500, so that's almost your radio right there.
Well, that's it. Instead of waiting till September, that's gonna be in the Verifax with the
Yep.
flyers.
Yep, absolutely.
Put up at you see a bulletin board somewhere, stick it
Yep.
up.
Spread the word.
Yeah, spread the word, it won't hurt.
The New York State QSO party is our next regularly scheduled activity here. It was like our major activities. That's gonna be October 19th. And so that's the upcoming ones. Now, there's gonna be more in the future. 50-50 drawing.
Yes, it's $30 in a 50-50 drawing. We have a gentleman here who has no interest in it.
And thank you to everybody. I say this every month, but this is a big fundraiser for us. You figure at the end of the year, we make 250 to 300 plus on that 50/50. That's a big fundraiser for us. And the number is
8117443.
Oh, Joe has won it.
Hey.
Okay,
Wait, let's do it again.
No, didn't you do that last time?
8117474.
7474. Steve? All right, Steve. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Steve. That looks to be, I don't think there's 2 pages. Oh, yes, there is. Look at that. Okay. Before that, there's something else coming up too. Upcoming events, which Drew does not have on the list. We talked about maybe doing the November sweepstakes. It's been a few years since we did that. That's another radio activity we've done in the past. And that's obviously in November. Rick might have some details on that, but it's just giving you a heads up. We got plenty of time to get the fine points out to you. But we're talking about maybe doing November sweepstakes again. Rick, that's like middle of November, do you remember? Or?
I can't, there's 2 weekends, one's a CW, one's a sideband.
Okay, well, we've done the sideband one up here before. We don't have to approve it or anything like that. Just we'll put it on the list that's coming up and we'll talk more about it.
We're also thinking about maybe trying the September VHF contest.
Oh, that's right. About 5 years ago, we did the VHF contest here in, when is it, September? And it was the first time in decades that I guess we did it, or a long time, because some people had heard us as W2W and they were very happy to hear us. And that's VHF. Rick's talking about putting a 6-meter antenna, a 2-meter antenna up. And again, our club is active, so that's coming up in September. We will have more information on that. So we've done that before, but it's been a few years.
By the way, that's a great thing to tie in with POTA, because as you rove
Right.
the different grid squares in the
Right.
area, at parks, you can work the same station again. And again.
Yep. So if you have anybody that's out there that weekend with their POTA, that's another thing. It wasn't, but last time we did it, POTA wasn't that popular, but now you can see who's out there and it's no repeaters and and you'd be surprised how active it is, VHF on that day. So that's something that's not on there. We'll have to get that on the minutes. The holiday party, I called and got us in on the 18th. We are penciled in at a trio, same as usual. They do a great job for us. And again, that's December 18th. The next board meeting is August 7th. The next member meeting is August 21st.
Which is
I mean,
the
it's,
party.
and it's our party. 6 p.m. Yeah, we technically, it's really not a meeting. Drew just stands up and talks, and that's wicked quick. We don't usually need to have a meeting, but it's technically a meeting real quick. But bring your appetite. And no Zoom, obviously. Oh, and Ron, welcome on Zoom. Ron has joined us. And I think that is it. We'll take a brief, like 5 minutes and have coffee, snacks.
Who's around?
I don't know. And it didn't respond,
But I
but,
hunch that might be into RWK.
okay.
No, it's KC2MLB.
Okay, well, welcome aboard, Ron. And, is there any questions from anyone else before we take a hiatus for the refreshment break and then come back for Greg's talk? All right, well, thanks for being patient with me too. We'll end the meeting. Well, no, we'll just take a pause. Do you pause on recording for this? Yeah. Well, technically, his presentation is still part of the meeting, I think.
There we go. Oh, and am I sharing? Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay.
I'm just gonna sneak this down. Get out of the way. I know where most of my stuff is.
Gotcha. Okay.
That was a cool road ride.
Oh, yeah?
That's a state road, state forest road that they're doing over 100 miles on, scooped up
Oh, that sounds awesome. Oh, I can't wait for this presentation. That sounds cool.
And the reason why we're out there is that I'll tell you, there's race stages and there's transition stages. That's transition is you're running around the county to get to the stage, and then you get a time start and run like a bat out there.
Oh, wow, cool. That's awesome.
So they're just flying, dirt's flying.
Holy cow.
They like drift around corners and
Oh,
stuff?
yeah. Oh, yeah, they put us all back, quite a ways. Like I was on this one stage where I was back probably 50 yards. I come around and read the card numbers, mark down the time they pay us. Because if somebody doesn't hit the finish, they're calling, they're saying,
Oh, and say,
they get
where
mad.
are they?
Oh, they know, right? It could be 10, 8, 12, 20 miles in the woods. I might get that. Spectators are usually halfway. So then they'll send the sweep vehicles and they'll find it in the woods. And one year they had somebody went off the road so fast, they went up, and they came down hard, went over the banks. Rally shut down, had to get them out and get the helo. And that's why we're there. Plus EMS equipment, so we notified HQ that we've got an accident. Yep. And the fire department, like or EMS, whoever's right with us, they get a hold of their county EMS system and they call out the cavalry. Wow.
Wow, 100 miles an hour on that?
And it's only one car wide.
And it's only one car wide? Ooh. Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
We had a problem where they actually, I'll talk about it, where we had 2 horses show up at our station. Luckily, we weren't active. We weren't an active stage at that point. We had already run our stage.
Oh, okay, okay.
But we had to go back through and re-sweep the course. Then we had a car come through, and we go back through and re-sweep the course.
Is this all the same, in the same place or?
It's Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, Tioga County, Pennsylvania.
Okay,
About
okay.
2 hours.
2 hours, okay.
My brother's been doing it. He's a tech. The
Oh,
only
okay.
2 meter he does is here.
Oh, okay.
Because my nephew Nathan. His girlfriend interfered in his last trip, so he didn't go. So
Are
I
there
went.
different classes of cars? Sorry, are there different classes of cars?
Yeah, there are. I don't know all that detail.
Okay, gotcha.
Subaru WRXs. Somebody had a Beamer out there, i3, somebody had an old AMC Pacer. I saw a Nissan. There's 27 cars. Wow. If they run 80 or more, your station is just pretty much running continuous. You don't get an hour or 2 hour break like you did. This time. Quite the cool. I had fun at it.
I can't wait to hear more about it.
They had, I'll talk about it. They had 210 volunteers. I think I put in there how many ham radios they had. Probably probably 50 ham radios out there between the sweet vehicles and everything. They have, race course operators and chairs, they all have hams, and they got observers, they've got guys like me, safety, and traffic control. Wow. That's pretty cool.
That's a lot of hams for an event.
No, I see what happens. Okay.
They actually had, because they only had 7 stages this year, 4 one day, 3 the next, they had some hand for Illinois, because I got put traffic control, I'm better than that.
Other than talking to Joe.
It's, runs Friday, Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Food around.
Thursday, you get your assignment, And,
I hear people.
Friday you pack up and go home.
Yes.
Or Saturday, Sunday you pack up and go home.
I figured, you know.
How long is the course?
I get it.
Okay.
And even.
I don't know the number off the top of my head. That's why, you gotta wait for it to get on the slide. HTs don't work very well out there.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Last year it wasn't good, and this year I thought it would be good, but it still hasn't.
I had a little stick, homemade little stick, that I was reaching over 30 miles back to HQ on, and they had a mobile, like our trailer.
Yep.
They had one of those up at, the fairgrounds HQ.
Oh, okay, okay.
What they do is they delink some of the repeaters, run like seven different repeaters. Every stage has a different repeater.
Really? Oh, wow.
And every stage has a backup repeater or a simplex frequency.
Oh, okay.
And then
Wow.
you have simplex within the stage, so start, spectator, traffic control.
Wow.
We can all talk among ourselves and not interfere with it.
Do you guys use APRS for anything, or APRS? Do you guys use APRS?
I don't have those.
Oh, like the tracking, like it does, like, it could give like locations of stuff, or,
The cars have their automated tracking systems in them.
oh, okay.
GPS.
GPS,
So
yeah.
the fairground knows, pretty much
So they
knows
know
where all the
where
cars
they
are.
are? Oh, okay.
But just in case that system fails, they have
Yeah.
us as a backup.
Yep.
I see 7,300.
Cool. Something goes wrong. They release them on 1 minute intervals
Oh, wow.
per stage.
Yeah, it's handy to have, you can see what's going on.
They're looking for a topic. Ford heard me. Ford actually heard me on the radio. He was up here at his house. He directed his beam.
And how did he pick you up?
And picked the repeater up down there
I've got
on the 2 meter and heard me squawking down.
Really? Oh, wow.
I was in a campground in Hill Creek and we tried, 7 megahertz. Couldn't get a good skip to him. Well, he picked up the 2 meter on his beam. Talks as clear as day.
I was gonna get another one.
That's awesome.
It was a cool thing. It's even cooler than a road race.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about the
The
20K or
20K or whatever. This is cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely go faster. Yeah, yeah.
You know where to look.
Yeah, they run, they're running anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes, depending on how long the stage is, maybe 12. My stages, they were running, I think about 10 minutes a stage. I think they were about 12 miles. So they're not doing 100.
They're booking. Yeah, yeah.
In one place at Waste Management, they have a jump.
And it would show up like.
Really?
Cars. That's where a lot of people go.
Oh, yeah, to watch the jumps.
And they
That's
get
cool.
30, 40, whatever feet in the air. They come down.
That sounds fun. I'm pretty sure my car wouldn't make that jump though. It's too old and rusty.
They can't even see Pacer out there.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, come on. Well, I mean, I grew up with A&C Pacers and I'm 62.
So let's have someone get the IF and.
I think that's what, you gotta hook it into the IF somehow. It's not a real wide spectrum.
No, I
like you have
imagine.
to-
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Nice.
Yeah, that's,
They feed you lunch,
handy gadget.
you know, the only thing it costs you is a place to stay, dinner and breakfast.
That's not bad at all.
But you gotta get up early in the morning, 6:30 start on Friday and at 7 o'clock on Saturday.
Is it just once a year or?
Yeah. And if you get lost, or if they take you out from these remote sites,
Oh, yeah.
the EMS service took a wrong turn, it took me an extra hour to get back.
Holy cow. Ooh.
Wonder how I can get a hold of the new member. They'll bring you the number for, but they're going somewhere else. There's no one place I can.
Okay, Greg, thank you very much for stepping up and doing the training.
Disappeared.
Oh, this is just a fun thing. All right. This on? Hello? Yeah. Wow. Hello? Yeah, there it is. All right.
Okay, guys,
Thinking-
training
is it
starts.
recording? Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. Waste Management Susquehannock Trail Road Rally. This is an event that I went to at the end of June. It is a cool ham radio supported event, so I'll go through and get into it. Imagine running on this PA state road at about 100 miles an hour through these dirt roads, okay? I mean, it's a cool event. So it dates back to 1965. It's their 59th annual, except for COVID, they lost a couple. The Rochester-based sports clubs used to do it. Triumph, Covair, MG. It became the Michigan, Ohio, New York series. And they ran 1 or 2 day rallies down in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, Tioga County. There are areas out there that have no cell phone service, and I was at one of those. I'll get into this. 2024, there was a 2 day rally, 14 stages, 108 miles for stages. Now that's where they're running like a bat out, you know what, metal to the pedal on the gas. 304 miles on state or county roads at legal speeds for about 415 miles for the 2 day weekend. This is a picture off the website, Road Rally. That's what one of the cars will look like. They've had AMC Racers, Subaru WRXs. Somebody had a Beamer i3 out there. I think it was 2023. And you can see all the dirt and stones this thing is kicking up. So it's really a fun time out there. They became known as STPR in 1977. It's one of the oldest, fastest rallies in North America. This is right off their website. Clay gravel roads, really fast, but slippery and extremely difficult when it's wet. All right. Teams travel at over 100 miles in densely wooded area. Literally, sometimes your mirror are almost touching the trees coming in. All right, that's how bad it is. They asked me if I wanted to ride in the rally's zero car. That's what I'll get into. That's the one that runs the safety at high speeds. I said, no, thank you very much. Okay, typical day for road rallies for support. We meet around 7 a.m. someplace. This year was at the high school. And then you depart out to your different stages, which we'll get into, your assigned stages. Each stage is where they are actually running, like I said, a bat out of you know where. So you have transition start time from the start. For example, Friday morning, it's Wellsboro Square, Town Square. So all the cars have to start there. That's their official start time. And then they get released, I think, at 1 minute intervals. So then they go to the first stage. They got to reach that stage by a specific time. Then they got to queue up, and then they're off on the stage at a start time at 1 minute intervals. And I've actually this past year saw where one car was running and the car behind them made up a minute, and they were bumper to bumper going through the woods as fast as they can go. All the cars, they're like I said, they're all different makes and models. They're souped up for off-road, but they're registered, they're inspected, they're street legal. Okay. The transition times through this county and the state roads are supposed to be at local speed limits. We heard a report that some of the troopers were a little annoyed that the speed limits weren't being followed, and word came out on the radio that they would take care of that. Each stage race is the super stage. That's the off race. The super stage is what they really call it, is on the state Pennsylvania roads, and they shut them down. Different sections. And I'll get into that in the map. 3 to 5 stages per day. and there's 2 service centers set up in the county to service and fuel the gas with the cars, there we go, anyhow. There is, once you leave your start of the day, there's arrival time control. You gotta get your transition to arrival time control at a certain time. And these cars all have tickets and electronic timing that they get recorded on. And then when they're ready, the start line, the cars arrive and then they release them one at a time, 1 minute intervals, okay? And they just run like crazy. So from the start line, then they go to the finish line. That's the end of the super stage. And all this is recorded by some sort of GPS timing system in the cars and on iPads and stuff at start and finish, okay? And actually ATC control too. So everybody's logging their times. There's ham radios at start, finish, and I was at spectator this year. So we'll get into that. So those are the 2 areas that they have ham radio support. And we'll get into what they actually do for ham radio support here in a little bit. We also have road marshals. These are guys that try to keep the road security, side roads from any traffic coming in, because you don't want one of these guys to hit something on the way through. It's bad enough when they hit an animal. It's not pretty. Then they have like spectator control. So spectator control, you can see where all these people are lined up and they have to stay behind. This year was yellow ribbon. And if you're at the red ribbon, you can't stand behind the red ribbon area. That's a safety issue. And then they got various communications too, for ham radios. They want 50-watt radios because that's what's needed in 99% of the locations. So it's that guy has an HT. He might have been in waste management where it would work. In my locations, HTs were not worth anything. Okay, here's an example of the Friday map. Okay, so here's Wellsboro. I use my mouse because the guys online can see it. Here's Wellsboro. The start was the town square. So I had the transition through the dotted line, all right, to stage 1. Let's see here. I was stage 1. I can't read it. Anyhow, so I was up here. Green is start, red is finish. Okay, so the solid line is actually the super stage. Okay, that's where they run like a crazy drivers out there. Then when they get done, then they transition to the next stage. Then they run this like a crazy guy and transition back over. Somehow they get to these stages down here. There's 2 stages down here. The yellow is the spectator areas. And that's where people can, it's usually at a corner, and people can run these. They have spectator people to kind of keep people in line. And then when they come back, they finish up here. Okay, so basically it's a big loop. This is almost the whole county, okay, of Tioga, Pennsylvania. So here's Saturday's route. So again, they started in Wellsboro, they call it the green. And then they transitioned all the way down to here. And they actually had 2 stages back to back, okay, which was kind of crazy, but and then they were down in this stage. They came back up to these stages and came back, and they finished at the fairgrounds up here. The day finished. So I was located here at this spectator point, and I was located at this spectator point. And this was a very sharp corner, over a 90-degree turn, taking this. So they were doing fun. A few of them spun out there, and that was fun. So like for here, this is at the 6-mile mark, I think, of a 12-mile stage. They were doing that 12-mile stage in anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes. So, and little story on that. When we came out, EMS took me down this way and around the back well up to Morris, around here. It took me over an hour to get home, extra that day. So that was a crazy day. So what happens is the vehicle timing starts in the Wellsboro Square, which is actually called the green. Then they transition between the stages on an established route. They have to follow the dotted lines. Okay, they can't deviate from that. All right, they arrive at ATC, which is arrival time control. If they're too early, they get penalized. If they're too late, they get penalized. They line up in order, and then each car has a timing device that writes to a iPad or something. And when the cars go from ACT to start, the start system tells them when to start. And their timer literally starts counting down from 1 minute down to 0, then they're gone. All right, then the next car comes up, same thing happens. And then when they do it, when they get to finish, their timing is read by another iPad. And then they also have GPS in the cars too. So start finish has separate hand radio operators and separate timing operators. Okay, so you're not trying to do both because it's a little crazy. This is net control. This is a inside the fairgrounds. Okay, and as you see in the right picture here, they've got people monitoring where the cars are. This year they had 27 cars. If they had 80 or plus cars, you don't get a break because you've got cars coming constantly. So it's quite a crazy day. This is also their Tioga County Amateur Radio Association. This is their portable repeater tower, which kind of looks like the one we have sitting over here in the woods. So, but so hand radio equipment. This is what they want you to go out in the woods with. You got to be pretty self-contained, and you have to be able to fix and diagnose what your problems are. Okay, you need a good 50-watt mobile 2-meter radio with a backup as possible, car mount antennas. They say, guys, it works with quarter waves out there. No, no. I put my 5/8 up, okay, and I actually put my little stick up on a 12-foot MX12 mast, and they could pick me up real well on that. Backup antennas, because sometimes your tree branches will nip them off. Maintain car, especially your battery charging system, spare fuses, cords and mic, dual band. I have a dual band TY9800, so I could listen to Simplex and I could listen to the repeater at the same time, which was nice. And actually I had my car radio on the repeater, and I had my portable 2-meter, another same radio on repeater. So the course steward for spectator could actually hear the repeater commands. I had an external speaker up. So cross banding capabilities, HTs maybe at the jump, the waste management jump, closer to town are good, but not. Backup power, then of course, all this other stuff that you might want, because there's no facilities out there in some of these places. So you may have to, take care of business out there. Saturday it rained like crazy out there, so we had to deal with that. All right. So this is my rig where I had set up a dining fly in the back. I have my little list up here. You can see it on the MK12. This is held on by a PVC pipe on my roof rack. So I used to stable it. The road was so hard I couldn't get a tent stake in the ground, literally. So I had to jerry rig this. I took this picture after the rain stopped. my portable rig is down here in an Apache case. I was running off a 12-volt, my canoe battery, my trolling motor. That's what I was running the rig off the back here with, and then I had the car running too. So I did a real good job on that. The front one was a Larson 5.5 wave on the vehicle. So, okay. Getting into your stage controls. Before they run a stage, communication is established between start, finish, spectator, anybody on traffic control on simplex and the net repeaters. Okay. Because if something really bad happens, which we don't wish it has, we got to be able to make sure we can talk. I will tell you, I'll go back up here for a minute. When I was here, it was terrible. We could not get simplex working up there. Okay. At first, I had pretty good repeater, but in the afternoon, I had none. Very noisy, they said. And I attributed it to my battery sinking down too much. So I went to the truck. But luckily, I had an experienced guy out there. He had a Yaesu 2-meter in his vehicle. He had another Jeep. And I forget what he had for a rear antenna on the back of the rear wheel mount. He changed the rims of his car, and he thinks it changed the grounding of his ground plane. So he could barely get out where he was. But he had problems, but luckily I had an SWR meter and stuff, so he was able to troubleshoot some of it. So we shared responsibilities up there. Oops. So, let's see here. So each stage has, you can see here, there's a simplex or a, let's see, can I move that? Probably not. So there's simplex frequency and a repeater frequency. So, and these are all the stage names, okay? Mill, Fossa, I was at Fossa, was the second stage, okay? Cars 0, 0, 0, 0, and 00. Those are the two of the safety cars. They go nice and slow through the course, the super stage, and those are their launch times. First car out is at 10:56 a.m. 27 cars, we were done in about 45 minutes. And then Fossa 2 ran at 16:42 actually. So we had about 4 hours of just twiddling our thumbs for a while. That's the only bad part about this. But as you can see, these are the repeaters and the frequency they were using and the different stages. So they run both stages twice during the day. So they're putting out a lot of miles on their cars. So when they start a stage, the net control does a roll call on the repeater, make sure everybody can talk to everybody. All right, verifies the start status, the cars, the timers, everything's set to go. They send the 3 safety vehicles. Triple lot, double lot go it slow. Single lot goes like a bat out of hoo-hoo-hoos, and make sure the stage is clear. If there's people spectating in an area that's not supposed to be spectating, they get booted off the course because we can't guarantee that they're going to stay within a safe area along the course. When the stage starts, at 1 minute start intervals, and this is where the ham radios get involved. The ham radio notifies the first 3 car numbers when they launch. Okay, they can do it individually or they can group them. Okay, and they also notify the last 3 cars to start. And spectator monitors for unauthorized traffic. If I've got a local yoga coming down the road and the stage is what we call hot, it's active, I can get on the repeater and say, we got unauthorized traffic, and they'll shut the stage down. And I think they have a way of communicating that to the race cars in that GPS monitoring system. Okay. When I had to monitor also the card numbers and what time they passed me. So if they crashed or did not finish the stage, net control would say to the spectator, when did car 494 past your location. And if I come up and say, they didn't make it, then they know they're in the first half of the stage. And then they'll send the sweep vehicles out to go find them. Pull them out of the woods or something. So then traffic control again monitors for unauthorized traffic. We actually had horses show up at the spectator station. Luckily, the stage was not hot at that time. And that raised holy Columbia, the local environmental conservation, NDCR, whatever Pennsylvania calls them, had to escort them off. Literally, they were getting a little hot on the collar, that why can't we be out here? Well, you're gonna get hit. So again, like I said, start, then finish does the same thing. Actually, finish notifies net control of the first 3 cars that finish and the last 3 cars that finish, okay? The sweep and safety vehicles all have ham radio operators and the race coordinators, and there are other race volunteers on the course that are also ham radios. I suspect there was about 50 to 60 ham radios out on the course any one day. EMS are looking at various stages. I had one at Spectators, Start had one, had an ambulance, so one year somebody went off the road and the navigator ended up breaking her back because it came down hard. So, so that's what STPR is. It's a blast. The only thing you need is a good rig and an ability to stand out in unfavorably weather. It could be hot, it could be dusty, it could be rain, it could be miserable. So any questions?
How was your communications? Did they, and I'll share with the group. I listened to a lot of what was going on with this, and it was very well run. And I was 2 of those repeaters, the 06 and the 21 repeaters. I had both of them on a different radios at my place, and it was very interesting, very well run, and what have you. And most of the signals I heard were good.
Yeah.
And plus, they also had one person that was trying to get to their cottage.
Yes.
And that was interesting.
Yes,
but,
yes, one person was trying to get to their cottage right when we were about ready to start the stage on Saturday. That was actually my stage, and that was, and then their NCON officers was trying to, well, we just let them through, it's no big deal, and people don't realize this is a timed event.
Yeah.
From the time they leave the square in the morning to the time they get back to the fairground, it's delays.
Did the repeaters work out good for you and the whole works?
They did. Actually, they're trying to get back on the national schedule. They got dropped a couple years ago. So if they get back on the national schedule, they get back up to running 80 or 100 cards through the wood a day. I mean, it's just a bounce. It's just a fun thing to do.
Are all those repeaters portable repeaters or?
No. Most of these repeaters are on their mountains.
Oh, okay.
Most of these are fixed, just like us. Yeah, Rick?
Yeah, maybe I missed it. How long of a course is this? How many miles?
Where was it here? They ran 415 miles over 2 days. So, and some of it is, it's rough roads.
I was wondering if that Shepherd that they kept calling us, that was your point or not, but I see that was one of the stages.
Well, actually, Shepherd, I was actually on, get down here. Yeah, I was on Shepherd. No, they spelled it wrong.
Oh, they spelled it wrong.
I was on Shepherd Spectator. Actually, when I first saw that list, I saw the previous 2023. I thought that was my brother.
Okay.
KE2CAV. I thought that was him, and no, not me. So, all right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And, anybody else? And we've got, topics pretty much drawn up for the rest of the year, but, you know, we try to do, every month, we try to have something. And as you can see, Greg did a great job, and a lot of it is, we got a lot of stuff in-house, so we could talk about stuff. One thing I forgot before we close the meeting, I forgot to mention about upcoming events. Thanks again, Greg. The activity, group, we talked about a couple activities we're thinking about doing, and, came up with the idea of the first annual Farrah Antenna Day. And we want to have a fun day. It's not a massive work party. I came up with the idea, and because we've had some field days, and I'm going to use Gary for an example, like 3 different field days or events, like 2 field days in Marconi. He happened to bring up a really cool antenna, like one he made, one he had, you know, small one, a loop antenna. And Marconi Day, he had this really cool screwdriver antenna, and a lot of us just had fun tinkering with those antennas. So we're gonna try something, it may be late September, we don't know a date yet, but it's gonna be the first annual Farrah Antenna Day.
Cool.
And so, we're thinking part of it would be like show and tell. You know, you got some cool, like Gary, I hope he brings his, like he had a loop he brought up here. I think we spent half as much time that day going over his loop as we did talk on the radio, but he made a loop. And then just at the last field day, Ford had a setup out there, and a lot of us enjoyed watching that. He had a setup out there for his office trailer, and he could bring that again, and you could just see like, whoa, all you need is a piece of plywood. And then I can't remember his name right now, I'm tired. He showed up with a 40-foot fiberglass mast. Steve. Again, a perfect example of it. He had this 40-foot mast, like spider mast, or whatever they call it. He uses it all the time for POTA. I thought it was just the coolest thing. He just sets that thing up, and he uses dog leash to attach it to the wood sign out here. And then he sat over there and ran HF off of it. And I didn't contemplate, it's a vertical. You know, it's 40 feet up, and he has his little antenna that comes all the way down, and he's running HF. He says it's all I use anymore. And another one was Keith Workman. He had some POTA antennas he used to use, and now he uses this. Rick had an antenna out there one time. And anyways, if you have an antenna you built and you haven't had the ability to analyze it, bring it up. We'll have people here with analyzers. It is not going to be a massive work party. I don't want 2 or 3 of our Elmers having people say, oh, here's 4,000 pieces, spend the next 7 hours to build me an antenna. That's not the nature of it. But at the same time, like for me, for example, like 4 years ago, I made a 20-meter dipole, 40-meter dipole, hard drawn copper. Never had them up, never had them tested. So we'll try to have 3 or 4 tie down places out here. Ford and I talked about it. The standard tie down places we have. We might get our antenna trailer out, have another tie down place. So we'll have like paracord set up. You got a dipole, boom, we'll put it up, throw an analyzer on it. So it's hands-on. It is not classroom. We're not going through theories. It is just, and I'm pleased. You got cool antennas like that fiberglass whip, please let Steve know. Steve, right? Get a hold of him, whoever he is, wherever his email is.
KE2CAV.
Yeah, you hear him on the radio, have him bring that up, because if you haven't seen one of those, I didn't even really get the concept until he told me. It's literally 40 feet in the air, tie it to a pole, and then the wire runs straight down it, that's your antenna. I never thought about a vertical running like that. You know, I'm always thinking of a mast and then you run off of it. And he said, no, he's just 40 feet up in the air. He ties it to the back of his car. Ford's got a setup he made for his trailer hitch, where it's got an offset. So you can go right off the back of his trailer hitch and straight up. So when you're doing POTA, you don't have to tie it to trees and have a forest ranger yell at you for putting stuff in the trees. So anyways, that's what we wanted to do. That was an idea for an upcoming event. If you have antennas, bring them, we'll test them, analyze them. We'll have some people here, Elmers, that can show you maybe like what the balance are, stuff like that. But I want it to be fun, not massive work, but you can work on them, test them, put them up. And like Gary, I hope he brings some of his cool ones, because that's how we learn is, you know, tinkering with. Like I said, that Marconi day, he brought his screwdriver antenna. What do you say? I mean, they were out for 2 hours. They're out there tinkering with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they loved it. So anyways, that's a thought. Try to do it before the weather gets bad, maybe late September, and it'll be called the first annual Farrah Antenna Day. And I just wanted to get that out there, so he puts it out there.
Well, send me the date, time, and the.
Well, we haven't figured it out yet, but it'll be in September, so it'll be in time for the next Farrah. in fact.
Question,
Yes.
Have you ever, made like from wire hanger the antenna?
We've had, there have been different classes where they've made some antennas. I know when we took our training class for Barrett back in 2018, when we became hams, we went through the kind of the directions. A lot of us afterwards made the ones where you get like the welding rods, you make a 2-meter vertical, you can just put a loop on it, and hang it.
Tape measure.
Yeah, and they make tape measure Yagis up here. Matter of fact, when they have that program up here at Copernic, they're going to have, they make tape measure Yagis. And they literally measure out the tape measure, they cut it, and they put it on the pipe, and then it's a working Yagi antenna. So there is stuff like that. So anyway, it's antenna day. It's kind of like whatever, but I encourage show and tell and learn and see things and try things and let us analyze them. And if you have an antenna made for it, or 5 other people will be up here maybe with analyzers, they can say, oh yeah, this needs to be trimmed. We're not gonna spend 8 hours trimming it, but at least you can know. So
can we bring all kinds of wires and?
it's not, we are not envisioning someone just bringing a whole bunch of components and somebody's gonna be sitting here for 4 hours making antennas. That's not really what we're looking at. But, you know, like I said, like I made an antenna, I'm gonna just see how it works. I don't have an analyzer. Honestly, I've never used an analyzer. So it's a learning experience for everybody. But I do want to kind of impress that our theory on the day is there may be components up here, like, hey, there's a balun, like Ford might say, hey, this is the kind of balun you want to use for this. Like you've done some talks like that, you know, like this is, hey, your basic 20-meter dipole, you just need a 1-in-1 unun or whatever, a balun or whatever. That's what you need, and this is how you hook it up. But I do not want anyone to feel discouraged, like, hey, I don't mind helping out on this, but I don't want to sit here for 7 hours building an antenna for somebody.
Yeah, so it's mostly just a show off / diagnosis.
Well, I mean,
Like,
it's.
we built this, I've tried it and this is why I like it, or I haven't tried this. Oh, okay, here's the
Yeah,
problem with it.
it's our first one. So there's no like hard fast rule. I'm concerned. I don't want like, I want everybody to show up that wants to show up. Bring your antennas. You don't have to bring anything. But like I said, I have personally seen firsthand at like 3 different field days and 2 different Marconi days. Someone brings a cool antenna. Everybody wants to know how it works, where you start using it. And Steve was great. He brought it right out. There's 3 or 4 of us out there, showed us how the pole works, showed us his little travel bag. I mean, it was like POTA 101. I mean, he just like, oh yeah, I use this for this. I use this for this. He pulls a little pouch out and it's a thin wire antenna. And he goes straight up there and ties it there. And then like, sure enough, like a half hour later, you guys might have saw it on field day. I look out the window, half hour later, it's the pole's up at this playground signpost. And he said, I had to go get my dog leash. He tied it to the pole with his dog leash. And the guy could sit there and ran his HF for hours off of that. And not tied to anything, I mean, like trees or anything like that. So stuff like that, but plus we learned. I had no idea how the vertical antenna like that worked at POTA. And now I know. So we should pass it on to everybody. So I want to be fun. You can bring components. You can get it. You can get information from people. I mean, nothing's mandatory. People can say, hey, yeah, I would use this for a dipole. I wouldn't use this for a dipole. You know, remember the 2-meter dipoles? Like, I had no idea until we talked about that they have to go vertically and then horizontal for a certain way. They're not like a normal dipole where it's this way. But anyways, that's just something I forgot to bring up because we brought it up at the activity group and it's fun. And like I said, it's not all just show and tell. And the more we look out there and see, the more ideas we get, the more fun we have. Because I know I want to save up for one of those spider masks or whatever. I don't know what it is.
Spider beam.
Spider beam. Yeah, I want to get one of those. And like I said, I wouldn't have known had you not brought it. So, any other questions for the meeting? Nope. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Thanks, guys. Or not to order. To end.
Disorder.
Yeah, adjourn.